What's up everyone, Garrett here, and welcome back to another video series. In this series, we're going to be using Bootstrap 4 to design a blog. Now Bootstrap is everywhere. I mean, you probably know what Bootstrap is. Bootstrap 4, however, I believe is still in beta actually. Maybe not by the time you're watching this video, but I'm pretty sure it is. I've actually been messing around with Bootstrap 4 a little bit. I was never really in Bootstrap before this, but nevertheless, I started getting into it, really enjoy using it. So in this video, or in this series rather, we're going to be building a blog. Now for the purposes of this series, we're going to be focusing on just the front-end development. It's not going to be functional or anything like that. It's just going to be the design itself. And that's what Bootstrap really is. It is a front-end development framework. So sit back, relax, and in this video, we're going to be building the homepage. Ready? Let's get started. What is up, guys? Welcome to my desktop screen. So what we're going to do is first, we're going to talk about what exactly we're going to be doing, as well as what you guys need to do initially to get set up. Go into your web browser and go to getbootstrap.com, and you will see right here on the homepage that this is actually a beta. So I was right, I wasn't really sure, but it is beta number 2, it looks like, of Bootstrap 4. So in this video, we're actually going to be following along with the documentation, kind of just going to the bits and pieces that we need and putting it into our HTML document. So what we're going to do is go to getbootstrap.com, then go to the documentation. What I've also done is a folder, so on my desktop, then I have code the web -projects, and then in there I have Bootstrap, because that's the series that we're in, and then I have index.html. So what I would do is make a HTML file and call it index. Next, what we're going to do is I actually have here, I have the starter syntax that I use for my stuff, but this is the first step of what we're going to do, and that is going to be to put the Bootstrap links in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to here. If you go to getting started or go to documentation, it takes you to the getting started thing automatically. What you're going to do is copy this first link right here. This is the CSS, and this links your website basically to the Bootstrap CDN, which is going to basically enable you to use Bootstrap, all the CSS stuff. So we're going to come back here, and we're actually going to get rid of that line in which we had our CSS linked, and we're going to add their CSS. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to copy this. So we're going to just copy those in there, or paste those rather in there. And that goes at the end of your body. So everything we're doing is going to go up here. So now what we're going to do is we're actually ready to start building our site. First thing we need is the navigation bar. Now in the documentation, we're going to come down here to components. And this basically is a list of all of the components that you would need. For example, alerts, badges, breadcrumbs, buttons, button groups, cards, carousels, etc., etc. We're going to scroll down here and go to navbar. If you really want an extremely detailed understanding of this, you should read the documentation, because it is just too much for us to go over in one video or 7 videos, or basically it would have to be like a 30-part series to go through everything. And perhaps we can do that, but that's not what this series is going to be for. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down and to here, and you can kind of see they have a bunch of different versions of the navbar. So it all kind of uses the same structure and the same principles, if you will. But what it does is they kind of give you some different versions of it. So note how this one looks with that little search thing. We can come down here, and there isn't one. It just has the brand. We have the brand with a picture. We have just a simple navbar like so. We have ones with drop-down links. We have ones with a form for a search, all kinds of different ones. And then we have color schemes down here, and we have containers. We have without containers. We have placement. So let's just go back up here, and we're going to pick a pretty simple one. We're going to come down here, and we're going to pick this one. So we're going to use this one. The difference between these two is just how it works code-wise. So this one uses an unordered list, and this one doesn't. And besides that, I don't think there's any reason to not use the list-based approach. I don't really think it's going to matter that much. Now, one thing that is a little bit annoying, and this is not a Bootstrap thing, this is a coding when you copy and paste code from online, is that the indentations kind of get copied in as spaces. So you actually have to go, and if you're using tabs, which I prefer to, you actually have to go and remove all of the spaces rather, and then put tabs in. So I'm going to speed up this video, or cut to when I have that done. And what we've just done is basically just properly indented all of this stuff. So let's go and take a look at what that did for us. Perfect. So this is what we've got, okay? This is basically this navigation bar just on a web page for us like so. One thing, however, that we might want to do is we might want to put in a container before we go on, just to make it so this is not at the full width. So we can do that very easily like so. Add div in here, and we're just going to add the class container. So what you do is you kind of just use normal HTML elements, and then you just add certain classes that you want to add the styling that you want based on what the documentation says. So we've done that. Now, of course, we have to re-indent everything by one, so I'm just going to skip ahead real quick. Okay, nothing's changed. I just properly indented everything, and we put a container inside of the navigation bar. Okay, so one thing we can also do is we want to now update all this information so we can have the stuff that we need, which will be a home page. We will need a about page and a contact page. We only need 3 things, so we actually don't need this disabled button. We also don't need this current. We want to add the about page, and then lastly will be the contact page. And now we have our properly named pages, which don't actually go anywhere, but that's okay for now. Also, we're going to get rid of the active. That is the reason that that was a little bit bold. So whichever one is active, you add the active class to it. We can also, I believe, nope, actually we're going to keep that. So what happens is that if we now go like this, move it in, we can see that now we get a properly done menu thing like that. So let's bring it back out. What we're going to do is actually set that to be medium. And so now if we take another look, we can go in a little bit more before we get the hamburger menu. I like to use medium. You can use large, you can use small, you can use really whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. The next thing that we want to do is I want this menu to be over here on the right side. So let's take a look in the documentation, and we will see how exactly to do that. So I found it. It actually wasn't in this page, but just to use something that I'd use on my other website. What we're going to do to get this menu over to the right is we're going to come back into our code, go into your nav bar, and find where you see this line right here, just the div that encapsulates the unordered list. And in the class, write a space so that we can add another class. Hit do justify content end, and refresh the page, and now this content will be over here. If you don't want to do that and you want it to be right next to the brand, that's what this is called. This bit is called the brand. Then you can keep it there and not put that in. It's totally up to you, and if you'd like it to be in the center, I believe you can just write center, and it will go to the center right there. Now that we've got the nav bar sorted out, we actually want to change this to say, I'm going to make it my name, Garrett Love. You can make it your name. You can make it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the main column as well as the sidebar. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to come down here below this navigation bar, and we're going to create a row, and inside of that row we're going to create 2 columns, and this is how we're going to do that. We're going to say div, and then set a class equal to row, close that div, and then inside this div we're going to make 2 more divs. The first div is going to be div with a class of column dash medium. That's the collapse length. That's the responsiveness aspect, that MD. So you can make it SL, MD, LG, XL, whatever you want. And we're going to make this 8. That 8 is the amount of columns. So this is divided into 12 columns, this entire page here, okay? And you basically choose the width of every element by saying how many columns you want it to be. So we're going to make this 8 columns, and then we're going to close that off. We're then going to make another div and set the class to column MD4. 4 and 8 is 12. And then we're going to close that bit off. And you won't be able to see anything really. But what we're going to do now is make some more divs, actually. And we're also going to add some content to kind of show what content would look like in there. So yeah, just bear with me. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make 2 posts, basically. The first post, well, they're just going to be test posts, both of them, and we'll add some lorem text into them. So we're going to do div class. Let's leave the class blank for right now. And we're going to close that off. We'll come up here and we will say h3 will be the title. And we're going to spell title correctly. And then we're going to have a paragraph. And this paragraph will be our lorem text. Just look up lorem ipsum. Go to lipsum.com. And we just need, we can do 2 paragraphs. Let's generate that. And let's just copy and paste this. Lorem ipsum is just standard dummy text. So just paste that in there. It's going to take up a lot of space, I know. And then check that out. So it doesn't have a container, but it does align at 8 columns. So we're going to do this inside. You can do it outside. You can do it inside. Doesn't really matter. We're going to do it inside just in case we want to make that row have a background color later on. We'll figure that one out later, but for now we're not going to. So we're going to say container. We're going to indent these again. And there you go. So that aligns more with that. Okay. Next what we're going to do is add, we want to add maybe some information perhaps at the bottom, like, you know, who wrote it, what time was it written at. Maybe if you were logged in, you should be able to comment on it or edit it. So let's add those things right now. So we're going to make a div, not that, we're going to do div class. We're going to leave the class blank for the moment. And this is actually going to be indented. Great. And so we're going to add some, do an unordered list. There will be a class, but for now we can leave that blank as well. We'll have a list item, close that off, and then this list item will be a button. So we'll say this would be nothing for now. And this would be comments. And actually before that, like right here, oops, we can have a paragraph and say that it was written by me. And we will have another one underneath that that has the time. So the current time is 3:22. So we'll say December 26th, 3:22 p.m. And then the next thing we're going to do is, assuming that you're logged in or that I am logged in, you'll be able to edit it. So let's check that out. Okay, so it did add everything, just it added it as a list, and that's not exactly what we want. What we want is for this to be a navigation group. Now, we're just going to take this information, or the CSS rather, from our actual navbar. If you wanted to, you could go in to what's it called, to the documentation and actually look at all the other options, but this, I believe, will be just fine. Next thing we're going to do, because this is what we have right now, and we want these to be horizontally aligned. So what we're going to do now is come up to this the unordered list thing, and we're going to add this class right here, d-inline inside element. So we're going to add that. We'll add that. Take a look. We're also going to need to add to this. There might be an easier way to do this, but this is how I know how to do it, and it works. So I think it's okay. Alright, great. So now we've got that. They are a little bit close, so what we're going to do is we're going to add another class to each one of these list items, which is going to be MR-4. So that stands for margin right, and then the amount of margin will be 4. Now, you don't really need to know what the CSS behind this is. That's sort of the whole point of Bootstrap, is that you don't have to worry about that stuff. You can just use it. But basically what happens is that it adds a margin on the right side of each one of these elements. The next thing we're going to do is actually add another one of these. So basically we're just going to essentially copy and paste this. So this is a post right here. And we're just going to copy and paste it, and now we have 2. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to add to our nav, we're going to add a margin bottom of 5. So that'll push this stuff down so that it's not kind of on top of it. And then each one of these posts will get a margin bottom of 4. I might have done it to the wrong thing. Yes. Nope, I know what I did. So this has to go outside of this. Yeah. This needs to go right here instead. And now what we can do is we're going to go back, add this margin bottom again of 5 to the nav bar. Sorry, keep that how it was. We're going to add a margin bottom of 4. We're going to come back, and we can even add a little bit more margin actually. We can make it 5. So we have some distance there. Alright, so we've got our main column. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add that sidebar rather. Okay. So, and we're also actually going to add a margin bottom. Actually, let's make it a padding. We're going to make this padding top of, no, sorry, PT for padding top of 5, and then also a padding bottom of 5. And then what we can do is take away this margin here. And it didn't really change anything. It just means that if we were to change the color of this row, we wouldn't have a white gap there. So now let's take a look at the sidebar. We're just going to put 2 widgets in the sidebar, nothing crazy. I know we really didn't get so much into the styling of this. We really just set up the frame, the foundation, or the skeleton, if you will, of our blog or of the homepage. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another div, add a class, and we will actually leave the class blank for now. And we're going to make this our social media links. Whoops. So we're going to say h3. We're going to say follow us. And then we'll have a button. Nope, it's not going to be hidden. But it's not going to go anywhere. We're going to have a button. And we will give this a class. We'll say Facebook. And then let's actually we're going to copy this. We're going to make this, the class will be BTN. It'll be BTN, I think it's block. Let's take a look at that. So what I've just changed, because it wasn't centering the way it should have for whatever reason. So what we've just done is we have changed the container from being inside the row, right here, to being outside the row. So just switch these 2 lines so they look kind of like that. Alright, next, this is what we are left with after we do that. So we've got this button here. We're going to add another one of those for Twitter. Let's say we want people to follow us on Twitter as well. And we're also going to add a BTN-primary. And then just so we can see a difference, we'll say secondary. Okay, so we've got these 2 buttons. We're also going to make that one not say Facebook twice. We're going to say Twitter. Actually, let's change this to say YouTube. I don't really use Twitter personally, and we'll say danger. So it makes it red. Okay, great, perfect. So we've got that. Don't worry about those buttons. They're aligned perfectly from now. We don't really have to worry about that. Next thing we're going to want to do, and this won't obviously be live or anything like that, but what we're going to do is create another one of these. So this will be like another widget, and we'll say popular posts. So we've got that, except that we don't want it to be, we want this to be, let's say, a margin bottom of 4. So we've got that. And what we want this to say is not 2 buttons. We want this to be a div. Oops. We're going to make this div have a class of row. And we're going to make it have 2 columns. So we'll give div class column medium. I think we want all of these to be the same mediums if that's what your measurement is. Like your responsive cutoff. So we'll make this 4. So you can put like rows inside of rows and whatnot, and columns inside, and so on and so forth. So we're going to make 2 of these actually. We're going to have this one. We're going to have another one, and this one is going to be 8. And this is going to be an image of some kind. We're just going to put image. No, that's not right. And the source will be the code the web logo. We'll go put the code the web logo in there after this. And we're also going to make the class it's going to be image fluid. You'll see what that does later. And then in here, we're going to put some paragraph tags, and we'll say title, because that's what our post is called, and then we'll say another paragraph, and this one will have the date, which was today, December. No, actually, what did we do first here? We did the author, so we're going to do Garrett Love, and then we're going to have the date. So December 26th, I think it was 3:22 at the time, so 3:22 p.m. Let's see how that looks. Okay, that actually looks good. I know it kind of looks like nothing right now, but that is kind of what we want. Copy the path. Copy path. I'm going to put it there. Now it should have the logo there. Okay, perfect. Now we want to condense these things. Margin bottom is 1. Let's see if that does the trick. I think that is more. Just to test it out, let's just delete them and just take a look real quick. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we've got that. So thank you so much for watching, guys. This was a longer video. I know you guys have been asking for, I put out that poll and you guys have said that you wanted a series of new technologies and whatnot. Bootstrap 4, one of the newest frameworks out there, and one of the best by far, I would say. I think people definitely have made some pretty cool things with Bootstrap. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Check the links in the description. Sign up for EVVEREST. Join us over there. It's a social network for web designers and web developers. And also, if you're looking for hosting, use my link down there. I use my hosting is with DigitalOcean, and I think they're really, really good. So check them out. If you want, you get $10 off if you use that link down there. So that's pretty cool. And then stay tuned for the next video next week. We'll be doing the post detail page in video number 2. So again, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care. Peace.